Welcome to part 2 of this recording on the state of the Jubilee Party. Now the big question is, why bring in Gideon Moi when Ruto already covered the Kalenjin nation? Yeah, and I asked a very interesting question in my earlier recording. What would you think and what would you do if you are working in a company and then somebody was brought in to do exactly what you're doing, yeah, and promised exactly the same package as you currently enjoy? What did you think? Obviously, you'd think you're being replaced. Okay? Now, this was the big question. It is not clear as yet exactly what was happening, but we know a few things. One, we know that immediately after Gideon Moi came into the alliance with the Jubilee Party, the role of William Ruto was very much downplayed. It was very much in the background. We saw the president going on campaigns alone without William Ruto, which was something strange, which had not happened before, ever since they took over power. And we noticed really William Ruto, it's like he had disappeared. He was doing campaigns on his own, yeah, and the two were not really campaigning together. Now, of course, our minds will cast back to the earlier suggestions from the president's side of the Jubilee Party, whereby it was suggested that the president should do his own campaigns. Fast forward to the party nominations. Okay, when the party nominations came along, we started seeing that Jubilee had a clear agenda, and this agenda seemed to be to clean up the party and to remove certain elements who are not required within the party, who probably would give the party a bad image, certain elements which probably were felt were not good for the overall outlook of the party. Now, of course, there's nothing wrong with that. But as any political analyst will tell you, the time to do a party cleanup is not when you're facing a general election, surely. Okay? Obviously, this came out of a lot of overconfidence on the side of the Jubilee Party. My thoughts or my view is that they must have felt that they're well ahead and that it would be difficult to remove them from power as the incumbents. They felt the opposition at that time was in disarray, and it did not look like there would be any strong opposition going into the general elections. They also had a track record, yeah. The mood in the country was pro-Jubilee, mostly, okay? And really, it looked like they would have a clean sailing through to a comfortable re-election. The lesson here is that in politics, it's extremely dangerous to be in a comfortable position. Actually, in politics, it's much better to always be on your toes, because a comfortable position can be disastrous. Okay. Anyway, as a result of this cleanup, we saw people like Maina Njenga pay the party nomination fee, but completely be denied any chance of standing for any particular seat, vying for any particular seat on a Jubilee ticket. Well, Maina Njenga ended up with KANU, and is vying for these particular elections on a KANU ticket. We also saw a very spirited effort to sideline Mike Sonko from vying for the governorship of Nairobi County. Okay, we all know what happened in that, but the repercussions and the fallout were very damaging to the Jubilee Party. Obviously, somebody somewhere who was running the Jubilee campaign was making a lot of mistakes. Yeah. Now, in this kind of high-stakes game, we were talking about the presidency of the Republic of Kenya. Mistakes can be very, very costly. Yeah. One mistake can be extremely costly. Now, several mistakes in quick succession, I don't know what word to use for that. But this is exactly what happened, because there was the Maina Njenga incident, there was the party nominations, there was the, widespread statement made by the party that educational background and so on, to be able to clear candidates for the Jubilee Party was a real big headache. Okay? But something else interesting had started even earlier. There was mass exodus from the Jubilee Party. People had left the political party to seek a ticket with other parties. Of course, they were still supporting the re-election of President Uhuru Kenyatta, but they left very early to say, no, we don't think Jubilee is the party. We'll seek another party, but Mr. President, we're still with you. Okay? This was to have repercussions later, because what happened is that now, as we speak, we have a very strong, independent force, what is called the third force, so that's what they like to call themselves, of candidates allied to President Uhuru Kenyatta and his re-election bid, but who are not part of Jubilee. A handful of these candidates are rejects from the electorate. A handful of them are unpopular, but a vast majority are extremely popular. The whole meaning here, or the whole clear prediction here for political analysts, is that a lot of these independent candidates, who are aligned to, who are supporting the re-election of President Uhuru Kenyatta, are going to make it. They're going to actually get elected for various posts: governors, members of parliament, senators, MCAs, and so on. And then quite a number of other candidates are going to get elected via other parties like PNU, parties like Alfred Mutua's Maendeleo Chap, and so on and so forth. Okay, so assuming that the president wins re-election, his lineup of support is going to look very interesting indeed, because he's going to have a lot of independent candidates, a handful of other candidates from other parties other than Jubilee, and then a very small number from Jubilee. That, of course, is going to be a problem. Anyway, of course, this force of independent candidates grew in large numbers after the Jubilee nominations, where many popular candidates said they had been rigged out. Okay, and the number was such that we cannot ignore that claim. I mean, if one or two members, popular politicians, come out and say we are rigged out, that is normal. Politicians are always saying they're being rigged out. But when you have such a large number of extremely popular candidates saying the same thing, then you know you have a problem. In fact, this group booked an appointment with the president and talked with him about getting his support, even as they supported him. They actually had a hearing in status, which I've covered in a previous recording. And let's move on very quickly. You have all this information. I'm just trying to do an overview so that we understand exactly what happened and where we are now. At around this time, we had what you can call a DP Ruto comeback in a big way. Okay, he started being very visible in the president's campaigns again. Okay. Previously, we had seen him come back in a small way. He would accompany the president, sometimes would not even speak. But now, as this crisis unraveled itself of the nominations and all that and so on, they became, we could now see that it was almost back to 2013, whereby they were campaigning together. Of course, the body language remained the same. They were not really the same campaign duo we saw in 2013 that swept into power. Okay, so dramatically. Now make sure you catch the next part of this recording, because now we will analyze what the sum total of all these things, the impact it has had on the party, and the damage actually that it has had on the party, so that it is in the position it finds itself today as we go into the general elections. This is Chris Kumekucha. As you know the drill, just click on that link on the top left hand corner and I'll see you in a second.